In this video, we will talk about the network panel. The network panel is a very nice feature in your browser that you can use to retrieve the data you want in an easy and structured way. So let's take a look at that. First, a little bit of background. So many web pages are built dynamically. So it means that each time you open up the web page, send some request to the server to retrieve the data that you see on that web page. The smart thing about that is that sometimes we can actually find these requests and use them in the same way as the web page used them. So we can send the same request directly to the server and that way extract the same data as the web page use before it is written into the HTML. So that is much more preferable because then the data usually comes in a structured JSON format, and this JSON format makes it easy to use the data right away. And we only get the data that we actually want. So we don't need to pass an HTML string before. So what is this network panel? So the network panel you can find in the Chrome developer tools. And this Chrome developer tools, you have seen some intro of, but I will show you again. So you can use the network panel in the Chrome developer tools to monitor all uploads and downloads to and from a web page. And some of these uploads to a web page actually have the data that we are interested in. So our job is to find the right request that requests the data that we want. Let's see how it works. As an example, I will use Boligsiden.dk, which is a property portal in Denmark, and I will show you how to get to the network panel and how to use it. So let's get started. If you go to Boligsiden, then you can see all these listed properties that you can buy. And we would like to scrape these properties. And for example, the value of the properties. So what we do is to right-click with the mouse and go to Inspect. What comes up here is the Chrome developer tools. And what we need for our purpose right now is to go to the network. I can just say here, what you see here is actually the HTML that the web page is built upon. But that's not important right now. So what we need to do is to go to the network panel that you see up here. Press the network panel. And right now there is no information going on here. And that's because it needs to record the activity going on before it can show it here. So we need to update the web page, and then we can see what is going on. So I update the web page, and we see there comes a lot of different requests here. So it's still loading. So it takes a long time for the web page to actually load. I think now it's done loading. What is the interesting part for us is what is called XHR files. So I press this fetch /XHR files, and we can see all the XHR files that the web page loaded. And our job now is to locate the file, the request that request the data that we actually want. So we need to find one of these requests that request the data that we see on the web page, and that is the price for every property and where it's located and stuff like that. So that's that can be very tedious. For example, here we have 38 requests we have to go through, but that's just something that you need to do. Okay, so I have done that for us. So if I press here to view this request, then I get to the preview header here, and it gives a preview of the request the web page sends to the server, and the data that it receives back. So what we see here is the data that it receives back. And in our case, I found the right one. We can see that that this data that it has received from the server, it contains trend. Is it 50 different properties? If we click on one of them, then we can see that this property, we can find information about coordinates, energy label, housing price, and stuff like that. So that is what we are interested in. The next part, so now we have found the right request. Then we have to figure out, okay, what is this request actually called? So we go to the headers bar up here, and we find this request URL. So this is the URL we will use to request the data from the server that we need. And I will show you how to do that in the Jupyter Notebook. So now we are back at the Jupyter Notebook, and here I just listed the procedure I just went through on the web page. So I can just repeat that. So we want to request, we want to find the right request, and to do that we want to locate these XHR. So that's short for XML HTTP request. So you don't need to understand that fully why it's called that, but these are the requests that we are interested in. And so we pick this field fetch /XHR, and we look through all the XHR, and we get a preview of the JSON file in the preview field. So that was also what I showed you. That was actually a JSON file where we could click on each property. And so when we have found the right XHR, then we go to the header field, and we look at the request URL that is shown there, and we copy paste that into our get request in Jupyter Notebook. So that is what I want to show you now. So the first step is to send the request to the server and get the data. And the way we do that is to copy this request URL and paste it into our get request line that we know already. And in return, we get a response. And now this response is not an HTML file. It's a JSON file that we looked at, that we got the preview of on the developer tools. So we need to convert this JSON file to a JSON format that Python can read, and we do that with this line. So we take our response and type .json afterwards, and we get a JSON result in return. So in our case, our JSON file consists of two different key value pairs, cases and links. So I pressed on cases on the network panel on the web page, maybe you remember. And that is because I have investigated that this is actually where our information about properties are stored. So we only want this cases key value pair. And we sort this key value pair out by using this line. And now the next step is very easy. We have a JSON file, and we can easily convert that to a pandas data frame. That is done like this. And this is how the data looks when it's a data frame. So now we have all the data that was on this web page, and we got it through very few steps. That was quite easy to make.